6 months after I got this thing, I think it's finally time to hook it up. There's a few reasons I've been avoiding that. Punching holes in my building is one. Also, however many trips it was gonna take me to go to the hardware store to get all the plumbing fittings. I'm at 5 trips so far. Robbie thinks I have everything. I'm not so confident. But yeah, let's drill some holes in the wall. I mocked everything up loosely. This isn't all done, just to figure out where to drill. And yeah, and later on I'll get into all the stuff I'm using and how it goes and why. Coming out of the tank, we're using galvanized pipe. Black iron pipe would also work. I just use galvanized because there were more fittings available in what I needed. So reducing down to the 3/4 inch to 1/2 inch. My features here use 3/8, so had to go down to 3/8. I couldn't get 3/8 pipe though, so then it goes back to 1/2 inch, and then we're gonna change to PEX when we get inside. Here we have a regulator, because big compressors like this tend to not have pressure regulators. This, I want to say, maintains 175 PSI, which is over the pressure rating of what I'm going to be using inside. So we're just going to regulate it out here. I also have a trap and moisture catch. So yeah, next I've got the lead that's going to go through the wall. So we're going to go inside, stick it through my glorious hole here, get this lined up, and screw them together. All right, so we drilled the other hole, so I got the electrical out here kind of set. We're going to have a 110 outlet here for the automatic tank drain valve to make sure, you know, don't rust out the bottom of my tank. And then we have external disconnect for this dude. So if I'm out here and something's crazy, I don't have to go searching for the right breaker. Of course, I do have breaker access inside, but if we're out here, very easy to know it's cut off while you're at the machine. So we're just about buttoned up outside. The compressor's wired up. Let me show you what we got going on. So I think we went over the air plumbing a little bit. We have a regulator, moisture trap, and filter. As far as the electrical, we just ran it in. I have a GFCI right here, which the automatic drain is going to go into. And then I have a 30 amp disconnect with 25 amp fuses, because this is 22 amps. 25 is the lowest, closest fuse rating I can get to what this is going to draw. So we have our external disconnect, 10 gauge wires coming in from the panel through this box up here. And then, yeah, just gotta set these up. And on the other side, I'm gonna have a switch that controls this outlet, so I can turn off the outlet if it's cold, and I don't have to worry about coming out here and plugging and unplugging this thing. It'll be real easy to turn off my automatic drain if I need to. So got everything ran and buttoned up. Turn the power on. The disconnect outside is still off. Went ahead and put my switch on here for the 110 outside. It's on, so we'll go plug things on and see if they turn on. Drain turned on. We'll do a test. Cool, it worked. Now we'll flip this dude on. I have the regulator turned all the way off, so we should just build pressure in the tank. Nothing should go through. Of course, I'll depressurize it. All right, we're about 40 PSI. I'm just gonna let that hold it overnight, and my automatic drain will take a good bit of it out. So I'll check on that tomorrow. I think that's where we're gonna wrap it up today. It's about quitting time. So next we'll jump on getting all the airlines ran inside the shop, but good to see it works. So I have my galvanized pipe coming through the wall. At this point, I'm going to switch to using PEX. I just have some NPT adapters that are the same size to screw on. And the reason I'm doing PEX inside is just because it's so much faster and cheaper and easier. No, so I guess the real question is, why didn't I do it outside and why do I use a galvanized pipe? Well, the PEX, its pressure rating drops with temperature, and once you hit about 120 degrees Fahrenheit, it's soft enough that the pressure rating drops enough I'm a little concerned about it. It doesn't necessarily hit 120 degrees outside, but it can get pretty close, especially with the heat index and also the UV, and everything outside is just going to deteriorate the PEX like it wouldn't inside. So for the exterior, I want the galvanized pipe just to make sure everything's fine. Now I'm using regular PEX, not PEX AL, which has an aluminum sheathing, which is really rated for air. However, since I'm in a controlled environment, the temperatures I'm going to be working at, the pressure ratings are fine. And also when PEX fails, it doesn't like shatter and throw shrapnel, it just kind of splits. So worst case, if I do have a failure, it's not going to be catastrophic or anything. And I do know quite a few people have used 1/2-inch PEX inside for airlines with no issues, so that's what I'm going with. But if you want to be totally conservative, you could just run airlines or get the PEX AL or an equivalent product. All right, so we've ran enough airlines that I've kind of got a feel of what works and makes it easy. Since this stuff's all coiled up, I've been using my flat tape to measure it out because it kind of follows the contour better. Just trying to get it straight is a non-starter. And one of the things I've learned too is getting a lot of the fittings kind of pre-done and making assemblies and then putting the assembly in place is easier than trying to do all the parts and components on ladders and on the walls. So we're about to make the next little whip. So we measured it out, and this loop is going to be straight. I have a T up there in the corner of the ceiling, and this line is going to start running across the shop. And right above me on one of these braces, I'm going to have a drop-down air hose reel thingy, and then the line will continue to the other side where I'll have another reel. So I need a T fitting there. So I've got the T fitting and all the hardware I need, and I'll go ahead and put that on this so it's all installed when I get up there. So I'll show you now, seems like a good time to show you how I've been adapting from the PEX to all the air fitting stuff, which is 1/4 inch NPT. So I've got my T fitting here, and I made a little stubby just, to be able to do my adaptions. And basically what I have going on here is a PEX fitting that goes from PEX to 1/4 inch NPT. This is the smallest I could get. And then I have a bushing that I got from the air hose or the pneumatic area that goes from 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch. And now I have a 1/4 inch NPT, which is the same fitting that's on a lot of air hoses, so I can screw an air hose directly into here, which I've done in some places. In others, I have a female quick connect that has a 1/4 inch NPT fitting, male, that I can just screw on. And now I've gone from my PEX to a pneumatic quick connect. But I need to Teflon all these, so I'll get all these Tefloned and tight and then snap it on. So now I've got this whip all ready to go, and everything I just did at the bench, I don't have to do on a ladder 12 feet in the air. Just got to go snap this piece on there, crimp it on, and then hammer some clamp hanger doohickey bobbers into the wood things. All right, and now I've got quick connect and a T, so I'm ready to keep running my line, and all my hardware's done. So I don't have to stand up here, definitely not on top of a ladder. It's pretty much done. I already went over all the finicky. I mean, there's really not much to putting this together to really show. Just make sure you have the right fittings for everything, and it just kind of goes together. But what I'm going to do is point out a few features I laid out, show you just generally where I place things, and why a few ways I try to save some money and that I might regret, but I can change it easy. Speaking of tidbits I should have bought that I didn't, one is a plate for this, so I need to get a metal plate to go over this. And this is the switch that goes to my automatic tank drain valve, which removes all the condensate, and I'll show you in just 2 days how much condensate has accumulated in there. I've left it off so we could do a manual flush and see how much is built up even on not so humid days here. And the reason for that, I think I mentioned earlier, is basically when the temperatures do drop and I don't want water building up in that line, I can turn it off. Of course, the humidity will be lower, so it won't be accumulating as much anyways, and I'll just manually flush it once in a while, or just kick this on, turn it off, but that way I don't have to worry about any water ruptures. Also, I came back and everywhere I punched through the wall, I went ahead and got some great stuff, shot some foam in there to lock everything in place and make sure wasps aren't going to be coming through my walls or building in. Of course, as you saw, I also switched to the PEX, and I have no fittings on my PEX until I hit this valve. So I have a cutoff valve inside the shop that then cuts off the airflow to everything except for one hose that's outside. And the reason for that is just if I need to work on anything, I can cut off the air, bleed this whole system, do whatever work I need, and not have to worry about cutting off power to the compressor and draining the whole tank and all that stuff. And then if anything goes wrong, I can come in here, have my oh shit moment, cut the air, stop the air loss, and then deal with whatever, probably without ever having to worry about what's going on with the actual compressor and tank. And then after that, I have my first hookup. So I have one airline hanging up here. And you'll also notice that these short cables I actually hard piped right in. I didn't put a disconnect, but what I could have done is put a disconnect on here instead and had the regular quick connect, but I just don't think I need it. And these flexible 25-foot hoses, each one of these will go over halfway through my shop really easy. It's less about making sure there's full coverage and more about having one close enough to where I'm going to use it that I don't have to keep walking around the shop to grab them, because really 2 of these would cover my whole shop, but I have 6. So one of them's here. Over there's where we started. Here's my office, and I have one drop over here too because we do a lot of material breakdown. So if I need to dust stuff off, I don't want to have to walk over there to the corner by the laser. I have one close at hand here. Coming into the middle of the shop, this is the single air hose that I used to have in my old shop, and this actually has a regulator and a quick connect, which is really stiff right now because it's old. So if I want to switch and use any pneumatic tools, this is the one I'll probably use. And this is a 50-foot reel, so it'll go anywhere in the shop, but most likely if I'm using any air tools, it would be right here, which also moves to the other fixed connect I have. And that retractable reel is a little bit of a pain. These are more convenient and easy to use. So if I'm just blasting, I've got a blaster set on this one that I can use here and at my miter station and this whole corner of the shop instead of that other one. And this is by my other main door. Now I'm gonna go behind you to the CNC where I have my other drop. Over here at the CNC, I have the other drop, and this one I actually did put a disconnect on. I'll use a blaster a lot for blowing sawdust out of kerf lines and cleaning my board with the vacuums I also have at hand. The reason I put a disconnect here but not on the other ones is I probably won't use anything but the blaster, but here I often use a brad nail for securing things, so I can take my pneumatic brad nailer and leave that over here just for CNC use. I have a battery one, but it lives on the other side of the shop, so that way whenever I need it, I don't have to go over there and get it. And so instead of leaving my pneumatic in a drawer, I can just leave it over here and be the CNC one. So quick disconnect. Directly above me is a quick connect for another hose that'll be hanging here. I had one hanging, but actually leaked. Well, I already threw it away. I probably should have left it just for the sake of the video, but I don't want to deal with leaky hoses in a brand new shop, so I'll just spend 15 bucks, get a new hose, and that'll hang here just because the jointer and planer do accumulate a lot of dust around the dust collection. So instead of having to walk somewhere else and grab a blaster, it'd be nice to have one here because if it's convenient, it's more likely to get done. And yeah, it's another 20 bucks to have it here, but I'll probably use it a lot more. So if over the decades I'm in this shop, I keep it cleaner because I spent 20 bucks. I'm gonna do that instead of having to walk over here. But let me show you how far these hoses do actually stretch. They're really nice. So this is how far they go. And again, this is another one that doesn't have a quick connect, as it just has a blaster on it, which is another reason to have the valve. If I ever decide I wanna put disconnects on these, I can easily cut the air off in here, spend, you know, the 30 bucks, get all the fittings, and put quick connects on all these and then have it. I haven't because I don't think I'm ever gonna change and use anything but the blaster. So why put more fittings, which is just gonna be more things that, you know, kind of degrade and might start leaking over time. But yeah, you can see these things go pretty far. So it's unnecessary to have as many hoses as I do. But like I said, it's not about, you know, being able to reach everywhere. It's about having them close at hand. And lastly, we'll go outside and I'll show you the connections outside. By the compressor, I think when I was hooking that up, I talked about that T I put in, but also you'll notice, or you probably can't notice, this line continues and goes outside the shop, and all I did was inside the shop switch from PEX back to galvanized pipe to have galvanized pipe outside, because outside it does get really hot. I don't want my PEX to degrade and turn into an issue not worried about the PEX inside. So let me show you my hose reels out here. So here I just shot the galvanized pipe outside the wall, put some great stuff around it to lock it in. I've got hose clamps on it, and this hose reel, which was actually in the shop somewhere, so I recycled this, moved it out here. I have a 50-foot hose. This is like a 100-foot reel though, so I could always get another hose, snap on here and have even more, but I think this is gonna be plenty. And I went ahead and just put a tire pumper chuck on this. This is on a quick disconnect though, so if I wanna use, you know, a nailer out here or whatever, that's pretty easy. But mostly I'll be using this just to air up tires. This is a through fare where my tractor, truck, vehicles, everything goes. So it's really easy to air up trailers and all that stuff with this right here. But that's not always the case. I'm gonna do some work on the other side of the shop later. Of course, right behind me is the compressor. Got the concrete pad. And for now I have one trailer parked right there. And my flatbed trailer is just on the other side. So I went ahead and dropped a hose. Eventually the plan is I want to extend the roof line of the shop off this side, knock out this fence, probably actually gonna be taking this down today, and level this ground, and this will be my trailer, tractor, and everything parking. So I wanted to have air on this side because this is where things are parked, and if we're gonna park it here eventually, it's really easy on the main connections to have room for it. So for now, on this T, I just have a hose sitting here hanging. Didn't bother with getting a reel for this because I'm probably not gonna use it that much, so easy to just drag it off, coil it up whenever I do. And whenever I do the extension, if I want to, it wouldn't be too big of a deal to just take galvanized pipe off this, run it over, and then have a hanging hose reel in the middle of that new covered storage. But for now, it's right here accessible, both sides of the shop, because my shop is about 40 feet wide, so that'd be the limit of the hose to try to drag it around the shop. Not a big deal to just have one on both sides. I like it because I've already invested enough in the system and having this compressor that, you know, I'd rather spend just a little bit more, have air everywhere, and not have it be a hassle, because that's the whole point of doing something like this anyways. Last thing I want to show you before we wrap up is the importance of this tank drain valve, especially on having something stationary that is going to be really easy to forget about. Because in just, let me see, a day or two, let's see how much condensation has collected in the bottom of this tank. So yeah, not a super ton, but that was a good bit, and I haven't even really been running it. So I haven't been using it. So imagine in summer when it's 100% humidity instead of the 70% humidity that it's been the past few days, and I'm actually running air tools a bunch and this thing's sucking a lot of humid air into it, it's gonna be a lot. So having the automatic tank drain valve, I'm a huge fan. Maybe I'm a little obsessed with it because I've probably talked about it way more than I need to. But anyway, this is how I've piped air into my shop. Why I use the materials I did, why I put quick connects where I did and didn't, why I put hoses where I did and didn't, just my approach to it. I hope that was helpful for you. Hope you learned something, were inspired, or at least entertained. And until next time, make time to make something.